everyone, welcome back to our Accounting 210. In this video, we continue with the chapter 11. Last time we talked about chapter 11 overview. We said it focuses on standard costs and then the related variance. So we will learn four items, right? We have all the manufacturing costs. You have direct material, direct labor, variable manufacturing overhead, and then you have fixed manufacturing overhead. So for each item, they have two variants. So totally we will cover 8 variants. Your job is you need to know how do you get the calculation, how do you do the numbers, and then how do you interpret the results. Okay, remember we are not a math major. We want to make sense of the numbers. So your job, your role is a manager, right? You are the CEO, CFO. When people give you the numbers, you need to learn how to read the story under the line between the numbers. Okay, so now we go to learn the first learning objective is basically background, explain how and why standard costs are developed. So I put this to the minimize and then I focus on this content. Think about a standard cost as a budget cost for a single unit of product. So we are focusing on a single unit of product. That is why when we learned the learning objective, the overview, we said we focus on flexible budget variance. We don't worry about volume variance because our volume is 1. We just focus on 1 unit. So we break down the flexible budget variance, this part. We don't worry about volume variance in this chapter, okay? Because we focus on 1 unit, the standard cost. We focus on single unit of product. So based on the standard, what the manufacturing cost should be. For the manufacturing cost, we have these 4 parts. General idea is we have 2 parts, right? We have a variable manufacturing, and then we have fixed manufacturing overhead. For the variable manufacturing cost, we have the direct material, we have direct labor, we have variable manufacturing overhead. For the fixed cost, manufacturing cost, we have fixed manufacturing overhead cost. Okay, so for the direct material, now we think about for one case of the chips, what the standard cost has to be. For one case of the chips, what's the standard cost? Based on the standard, what the cost should be. For the direct material, we said for one case, we need to have 5 pounds. We need to have 5 pounds of the direct material. And then the standard cost for 1 pound is $1.5. So for one case, for the direct material, we should spend $7.5. For the standard direct labor cost is we said, hey, to make 1 case of the chip, we need to have a 0.05 hour, 12 minutes, right? So which will be 12 minutes. 12 minutes, then an employee can get 1 case of the chips. For 1 hour, we pay the employee $22. So for 12 minutes, the standard cost of direct labor is $1.1. Similarly, for the variable manufacturing overhead, like the utility, right? So we said we allocated in chapter 3, we allocated manufacturing overhead based on machine hour. So we found out to make 1 case of the chips, we need to have a 0.1 machine hour. And then for 1 machine hour, we allocate $25. We allocate $25. So we get $2.5 for 1 case of the chips as the variable manufacturing overhead. For the fixed manufacturing overhead, we need also 0.1 machine hour. But for this machine hour, we allocate $9 for 1 machine hour, right? For 1 machine hour. And then we found out for 1 case of the chips, our variable manufacturing overhead allocated is 90 cents. Okay, so this is how you get the predetermined allocation rate, right? This is from chapter 3. So we said for 1 case of the chips, the manufacturing cost, we have a direct material, direct labor, variable manufacturing overhead, fixed manufacturing overhead. And then based on the standard, a case of chips will be $12. So And what's the meaning of standard? Standard is, as I said, it's like a menu. Everything works perfectly. You do not spill the material. You don't waste the material. There is no breakdown of the machine. The employees, they are well trained, and then all these price, they are also already based on the standard. There is no surprise. So if everything works perfectly based on the menu, your cost, your manufacturing cost of a case of the chip has to be $12. But in the reality, nothing really works based on your standard, right? So very likely you will have a variance. You will have a different. It's different from your standard. And then we will look at those 4 items. We will look at direct material directly, variable manufacturing overhead, fixed manufacturing overhead. We want to see how do you calculate the variance, and then how do we interpret the variance. So I see you in the next video. We started talking about the meat of chapter 11, direct material, the variance. It's very important, and very likely you will be tested in the exam. So I see you in the next video. Thank you.